In the last video, we created the logo section and the input section. Now we are going to resume and I will complete the action part. It would not be complex. I would just create the just this icon, and if user clicks on that, then you will just see the sign out button in that drop down. So we will just create a drop down button for now, and then we will start working on the sidebar. Okay, let's begin. So we have the action center here, and here I'm going to add a button, and in that button you can add anything. I'm going to add a sample picture, dummy picture. Let's use this one. I'm going to move it in my VS Code to use it here. So in the button, I'm going to, actually you don't need a button. It is totally optional. So you can just use the image tag, and then we can design the image tag. I'm going to rename this picture. It should say profile photo, and here. Okay, you can see that profile picture is there, but it is not looking great. So to make it good, we need to add some styling to it. So in the SCSS, I'm going to style the image tag. I would limit the width and height of this image. Okay, I also need a border radius around it. So to make it circle, like in the Google contacts. Okay, and let's try to add some box shadow. Actually, there is no box shadow there. It appears, some shadow or something like that appears only when you hover your mouse over it. So let's add a hover effect around it. For that, I'm going to add hover pseudo selector, and if user hover on it, I want to add a border. Actually, okay, let's add it first. 4 pixels solid, and let's see. You can see border is appearing, but there is a jerk. The reason is that by default there is no border. When a border appears, then it changes its position because of the space that is being consumed by the border. So to fix that behavior, we should add the border without hovering, but we can make the border color transparent so that it could be invisible. And once user hover it, then we should change the color of the border color. So border would stay there forever, but color would be appeared whenever user hover on it. So let's see. Okay, now you can see that there is no jerk and it is smooth, but still there should be some kind of animation. I mean, they don't have animation, but we can add animation here. Also, I also feel that the width and height should be bit smaller than what we have right now. Okay. Mm, I'm not comfortable with this picture because I want to see like this. So let's see if there is any better picture. I want any picture with the dark background so that I can see the circle that we added because of the border radius. Let's try this one, I guess. I'm going to delete this one and I will use this one. All right. So here you can see that it is looking good, and now the border color is not good because it is too dark. We need a little bit lighter color. For that, I'm going to hover on it. This would show me the color picker. So I would just drag this knob a little bit upward and save it. Still, it looks like it is dark. Okay, I think it is better now. And also, I want that the cursor should be pointer whenever user hover their mouse on it. So for that, type cursor pointer. Okay. So what else? Next, you can see that uh, it is showing there is a too much gap on the right side, and that gap should not be there. It should be aligned to the right side. For that, uh, we need to add display flex to its parent display flex, and not only that, we also have to add flex justify flex, sorry, justify content, and it should be flex end, so it would move it to the end. But there is something wrong. Let me see in the console. Inspect element. So let's see what's going on with it. So we have uh, display flex and justify content is this, and this is the image. Actually, I got it why it is happening. The reason is that there is a scroll, you can see. So something is wrong happened here. That is why there is a scroll. There should not be any horizontal scroll. Just remember that. So if there is a scroll, then that's mean you are doing something wrong with your layout. So let's find out what is wrong with it. So here we have 100% width, and let's see from where it is doing that. Okay. Maybe it is because of the padding. For that, to fix this kind of issue, we normally use box sizing, border box. Let's see. Yes, that fixed the problem. So actually, uh, this was happening that we added the width 100% to the header, and we added the padding left and right. So that's mean it was consuming 100% plus 40 pixels. So it was taking 40 pixel more than the 100% of the width. So and that is more than the your screen size. So that is why it was going outside of the visible area, and that is why there was a scroll. So if you add box sizing border box, then it would take the 40 pixel of the padding from the 100%. Okay, so that is fine. Now I'm going to add the same style in my CSS. So it is on the header, so this is the header. Just paste that style here. All right, next we need to align it. Let me see. Okay, it is now aligned to the right side, and there is a padding on the right side, and that is fine. So it is looking good now. Also, if you look at it here, this image is not aligned, vertically aligned in the center. To vertically align it in the center, we need to add align item center. That is the style from the flex box. Align items center. Okay, now I think it is looking great so far. Next, let's see what we need to do else. Okay, as we don't need we don't have too many things to add in this drop down, so I guess we don't need it, right? So we can save this time. Instead of creating this drop down, we will add another button on the left side of this logo, where that would show a logout button. If user clicks on the logout, then it would just log out from this dashboard. So we will create the drop down in this section. For example, if you type here, it is showing you the drop down. So we will design this drop down, we will make it functional, but this drop down is not compulsory, it can be optional. So let's add the logout button after this logo, before this logo actually. And here I need to add a font awesome icon with the logout indicator. So font awesome 4 icons, open it and search for the logout. Here it is. Click on that, and that would give you the exact HTML element that you just need to copy and paste here, and see how it looks like now. Okay. Okay. So also, let's see if it is vertical in the middle. Yes, it is vertically in the middle. That is fine. Now I also need a gap between these two buttons. For that, I'm going to add another style. That would be gap 20 pixels. So this is again, this is also a flex box style that you can use. Okay, and also in this logout button, I need to actually, let's wrap it inside another div, and I'm going to give it the ID logout button. Okay, so now after the image tag, I'm going to style the logout button, add the cursor pointer, and you can see now there is a cursor around it. And next, I feel that the icon should be a bit larger. For that, I'm going to add a font size for that to increase the size of the icon. Okay. All right. I think it is fine. Next, let's design the drop down for the search input. For that, before doing that, I'm going to commit these changes. So we completed the right side actions in the header. So you, as you know, you have access to all of these commits. You can go commit by commit and learn from there as well from the Git repository. So it would be helpful for you. All right. So for the input, how it is working, let's understand. So as soon as user types something, for example, I type A, it starts to show our drop down. So we will, before making it functional, we will complete the UI design for this dropdown. Once it is ready, then we will hide it and we will show it based on the events. Okay. So for that, uh, go back and in the header section, go to the search section, and this is the search container. We actually need it here, right? So I'm going to add another div and I'm going to name it uh, suggestions with the class. Okay. And before adding anything else, before making it complex, let's just design this box first. So after box is ready, then we can make it more complex by adding the options in it. So come back here, find the search container, and inside the search container, just add the new class that you just added, and that would be, I am going to add, I guess, border. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there is a light gray border around it, 1 pixel solid, and color should be CCC. Okay, so you can see a border that is visible here, but its width is not taking the 100% of the width for some reason. Let's see why it is happening. For to make sure that I'm going to add the width 100% to see if that works or not. No, it is still not taking the 100% width. So let's see what's going on. Just go to the inspect element and hover your mouse on this and keep going in the depth until you find the element that you want to troubleshoot. So here you can see that it is, this is the, actually look at this, you can see that search container is less than the gray part, right? So something is fishy here. Let's see what's wrong here. So actually same thing is happening with the input as well that we solved earlier. The issue is that the container width is if you look at the UI, you can see there is a tooltip showing the width of this selected element on which I'm hovering right now. So you can see the parent, the width of the parent is 649 pixels, and if you hover your mouse over suggestions, you would see the width is only 651 pixels, right? Sorry, for the input, you can see the parent is 649 and input is 691, and the issue is that 691 is more than 649. That's mean input is taking more width than the parent, and the reason is same. The reason is that we have added the padding to the left and the right, and that is why it is collectively taking more width, extra width other than 100%. So for example, I have added padding left 40 pixels. So it is taking the 100% plus 40 pixel that was required for the padding left. So it should have used this padding left from the 100% uh, space that it already has, but it is not taking 40 pixel from that 100%. So it is consuming extra 40 pixel. To fix that, just add again add the same style, that would be box sizing border box. Okay, now you would notice that input is taking the same width as of its parent. So that is perfect. Now just copy this property and paste it in the SASS file that we have after in the input section. And don't do this, don't add extra lines, just keep your code very neat and clean so that it could be readable for you. All right, now uh, let's come back on our suggestions designing. I'm going to add some minimum, actually no minimum height. For now, let's add minimum height. We will remove it later. Minimum height 30 pixels. Instead, let's try 90. Okay, we did that, but that messed up with this search icon. That is not good. The reason is that you look at this, the total, this is the total height of the uh, search container, and because of our the way we styled this button is taking 100% of its parent, and we also specified that the icon inside of it should be uh, in the middle of it. So because of this because, because of the default behavior of the button. So to fix it, I guess we should make suggestion position absolute. Let's try that. Okay, so now by making this element position absolute, it is now floating in the air. I mean, it is not forcing its parent to increase its height. So that is fine now. So it looks great. That's what we need. So okay. So the box border is ready. Next, we need to add some box shadow around it. You can see that there's a nice shadow around it. To add that, just come back here and add box shadow. 5 pixels, 5 pixel, 5 pixel. We can change it later, but for now, let's add it and see how it looks like. Okay, it is too spreaded to our rightward and bottom side. We need to increase the add. We need to reduce it a little bit. Okay, I think it is perfect now. Very nice. uh, One last thing that I think that should be improved, maybe you can see that our suggestion box is going is take it looks like that our suggestion box is taking more width than the input, right? So let's see what's going on there. We need to make it perfect as well. So input is taking the same width as of its parent, but this suggestions is not taking same width. It is taking around 2 pixel more than its parent. Why is that? The reason is that the suggestions box has the border 1 pixel on the left and 1 pixel on the right. So collectively, it is taking 2 pixels of the border. So, and again, the same reason, if you just add box sizing border box, then that would fix the problem. Okay, you can see now it is respecting its parent, and it is uh, consuming the 2 pixel of border size from the from its own width instead of taking the extra width from the parent. Okay, So all right, just copy it and paste it here. Oh, again, this is happening. The reason is that we made it position absolute, but we did not save it yet. So let's add it here. Position absolute. All right. Nice. Let's see what's else. Next, you can see that when this input is in active state, there is no border radius at the bottom. You can see. Look at this. There is a border radius on the top right, but there is no border radius on the bottom. But in our case, we have border radius on the bottom as well. That is why it is looking strange. So it does not look great. So we will fix that as well. So for that, to fix that, I'm going to add a class. Let's see. So in this element, let's see. Yeah, in this element, I'm just going to add a class. This we will add this class dynamically, but right now I'm going to hard code it just to see my styling works. Just add suggestions visible. If we have this class on this element, then we would understand that we need to remove these border radius from the bottom. So let's try that. Let's find out search container. Here it is. And here I want that if there is suggestions active class on search container, then one second, let's move it here. Okay, I have added it after input because in this input we have the border radius specified, and here immediately after that, if there is a class on it, I want to remove that border radius from the bottom. So border radius bottom left 0 pixels, and similarly. Okay, now still it did not remove yet. Actually, I did not save this class change that I just added. It is not applying. Okay, sorry. So border radius, if there is this class on this parent element, the meaning of and is that you are adding you are adding this, you are saying that if this class is on the same element like this. So this is search container and class is also on the same element. So to specify that, you use and operator. So instead of that, I'm going to add input and remove the border radius. So okay, you can see that border radius has been removed, and now it is looking much better than before. And another thing that I think we should have, uh, when suggestions is visible, then the color of the input should become white like this. Okay, right now it is still gray, that is not looking perfect. And also there should be a box shadow around that input when when your suggestions are active. Actually, uh, let's make some changes. Instead of suggestions, we will say that if input is active, uh, then we will have, if input is active, or if there is a focus on input, then it should have white color. Okay, so here in the input, I'm just going to add and means I'm talking about the input. I'm saying that on that input, If it is focused right now, then the background color should be pure white, and there should be a box shadow around it. Let's see. Okay, you can see when I click on that, the box shadow is visible and it becomes white. But another thing is that so there should be less shadow on the bottom side. In our case, the shadow is too much, so shadow should be on the left, top, and right. So let's make it 0, I guess, and 0 this. Okay, great. I think now it is looking great. Next, we also need to add uh, this cross button around at the end. For that, mm, in the search, I would add another button. By the way, as I'm going to add the same thing here, earlier we had only one button and one icon. Okay, and we were using the button selector in the SASS like this. But now we have two buttons, so we have to give it a name so that we can differentiate. Uh, you can say search button, and this is clear search button. Okay, so now here I'm going to specify that this is about search button and this is about, actually some things are similar in both of these buttons, I guess you can see. So I'm going to share some of styling. So inside the button I'm going to add another class. So I'm saying that if search button class is on this button right now, then make these changes, that the left should be this, and what else, I think it's fine. And if it is the clear search button, then right should be 0. Let's see, you can see that now it is looking perfect, but we just need to replace the icon. So I need the cross icon instead of the search. So this is the cross icon. It is too bold. Let's try to find out a thin button. uh, Cross, cancel, uh, close. Hmm. Let's find out manually. Hmm. Okay, I'm going to use this one. So replace this button with this one, this icon with this one. Okay, and you can see we have the cross button now, and this cross button should have cursor pointer on it. Okay, so here I'm going to add cursor pointer. So with this, the cursor pointer would be added on both of these buttons, you can see. Okay, And if user hover their mouse on it, then there should be a circular background on it, on both of these buttons. For that, I'm going to design this button. So I'm saying that if user hovers their mouse on any of these two buttons, then we need to add background color gray, and it should be a little bit lighter. Let's see. You can see we have it, but uh, hmm. Actually, to make it good, uh, we need to add another element inside the button. We can add div. Similarly, here as well, we need to add the div. Okay. Now I'm going to add width on that div that is inside both of these buttons. Actually, okay. Here we also need to add display flex to adjust the alignments, align item center, justify content center. Let me see what is wrong here. Okay, so the height should be, 1 second, the height should be 100%. Okay, actually 1 second, the height should be 25 pixel. Let's try it and see how it works. Okay, and I also need to align these. For that, we need to add display flex again, and I type align item center and then justify content center. Okay, you can see, and also this time instead of adding a background color on it, I want to add background color on div. So if we hover, then background color should be added on the div. So you can see that is added. Now I also need a border radius 50%. Okay, it is round now like in this, but this is too small. Maybe we need to increase it a little bit further. For that, I'm going to add 29, 29. Okay, I think it's acceptable now. Let's see what is going on with this cross button. That is strange right now. Why is it showing below? Uh, Maybe we should type top 0. Yeah, I think that was the issue. So here we should have added the top 0 so that it could stick with its parent all the time on the top. Okay. Oops. So this is the parent, but it is going outside of the parent area. The reason is that, 1 second. Hmm. So we should not use a top 0 because there is a 7 pixel of padding. So we, instead of using top 0, we should leave this space as the offset, type 7 pixel. Okay, now it is perfect. And you can see that hover effect is on both of these buttons. All right, now it's time to style this suggestion box further to make it like this. So for that, uh, let's make some changes in the suggestion box. We will add some rows, and here I would say suggestion. Okay, so this is suggestions with s, and this is suggestion without s. This is singular and this is plural. And here for now I'm going to hard code some of the suggestions. So you can see these are, all of these things are our contacts. Here I'm going to add a div avatar. So in this avatar, we may have picture or name initial. For now, I'm going to add A as the initial. After that, here I'm going to add the name section, and then we have email. If there is any email, then we will show that email after that. And let's hard code the name, David James maybe, and here david@gmail.com. Okay, so we have it here. Now let's see how it looks like. Obviously it would look not good. We must have to design it first to make it look good. For that, just go back in the suggestions section and add another selector, suggestion, and let's add background color. This thing, actually there's no background color. This background color is added only when you hover, so we will add it later. So before that, we need to make other adjustments. For example, these are showing in vertical direction. We should show them in a row, horizontally in one row. For that, we need to add display flex. That would fix that problem. Now we need to add gap between every element. As you can see, there is a gap of around 20 pixels between every element. So for that, type gap 20 pixels. Okay, it looks like 20 pixel is bit more than we need. I think it is fine. Next we need padding left and right like this, so let's do that. I'm going to add padding left 13, padding right 30. There's also a short syntax. Instead of writing this twice, you can just keep it like this. Padding 13, actually, yeah, here. So first one reflects the vertical padding, and the second parameter reflects the horizontal padding. Okay, so awesome. Now we need to decrease the font size because right now it looks like it is too large. For that, I'm going to add a font size equal to 13 pixels. See, I think it is perfect. And next we need to add a height. Uh, height 50 pixels. Okay, 50 is too much. I'm going to reduce this to 30. Yeah, that is fine. But still, it is not in the middle of this row. To align the content in the middle of the row, we need to add align item center to the flex element. We have the display flex, so that's mean this would work. And it is working, as you can see. All right. Next, we need to gray out the email color, right? For that, I'm going to add email color It is too light. Let's make it a bit darker. I think that is fine, but I guess the font size of the email is smaller than the name. So, and the text color is also darker for the other fonts. I'm going to add color. I think that is fine, I guess. And for the email, I'm going to decrease the font size to 10 pixels. Okay, that is, I guess, perfect. Maybe it should be 11 pixels. Okay, fine. We also need a dash between email and this. Okay, I'm going to add another div between email and name, and I'm going to add dash. Let's see how it looks like. Okay, perfect. And after that, we need to design the avatar. Before that, I'm going to copy paste this suggestion for several times to see how it looks. Okay, it is looking good so far, but we don't have the hover effect yet. For that, just go back and in the suggestions, just add the hover pseudo on the suggestion and add background color. And this should be obviously lighter background. This color should be a bit lighter and see. Okay, it is looking perfect now. Now we need to make it cursor. We need to add a display cursor pointer. So now you can see that we have a cursor pointer. So if there is a cursor pointer, then it looks it feels like it is a clickable thing. So that is good user behavior, that user experience that we should add. Other than that, I feel something, maybe the font size should be 1 pixel less than what it is right now. Okay, fine. I'm going to copy paste few more times these contacts. All right, perfect. Now it's time to design the avatar. For that, go back to the CSS, go to the suggestion and specify the selector for the avatar and add a fixed width and height. Maybe 30 pixel is fine, maybe. Let's see. And display flex. Align item should be center and justify content should also be in the center. And other than that, I want to add a background color. Background color, we can use any of these for now, maybe different one. Okay, now we need to make it circle. To make it circle, we need to add border radius 50%, and you can see it is circle now. But the issue is that it is not looking good. The reason is that in the actual layout, its size is smaller. And also, let's change the color. I don't like it. So instead of 20, I'm going to have 30. I'm going to have 20 pixels. Okay, I think that is looking perfect now. So with this, our suggestions box designing is completed. Now it's time to make it functional, right? To make it functional, by default, this suggestion box should be hidden. For that, I'm going to add display none, right? And this suggestion box should be visible only if we have this class on its parent search container. So we have it here. I'm going to move it after the suggestion so that my styling for the suggestions could work. So if there is a suggestion visible class on it, we already have this code that is removing the border radius. Uh, also, if this class is on its parent, then we should make it display block to make it visible. Display block. Okay. And you can see it is again visible, and as soon as I remove this class, this suggestion box and everything would be gone. But this cross button did not go away. For that we have to add that style as well. So for that we have to look around. Here we have button, and this is the clear search button. So in the search container, I want that button with a clear search. Button with the clear search should be display block, but other than that it should stay invisible. So if there is no active class on it, there is no uh, suggestions visible class on it, then uh, this specific button should be invisible. Okay, now you can see that button is invisible. So now if I add that class back again, then you will see that it is visible, but for some reason the cross button did not come back. Let's see why. uh, I used the incorrect class name, that is why it was not working. Okay, you can see that now cross button is visible again. If I remove it, then everything would be gone, right? So the designing is completed. Now we need to make it dynamic so that as soon as user start searching, then it should show the suggestions box, right? For that, I'm going to add some event listener on the input. So here type on key up. So as soon as user key up, user does the key up, then we will trigger a function that would uh, search key up, that would call this function. Okay, and here I'm going to pass the event. So at the bottom I'm going to we need to add the script tag to add all of the JavaScript that we need now. So here add just this function, and here we have the event, and I'm going to console the value that is coming from that event. So event dot current target dot value. So let's see if we get the value. Okay, you can see that values are coming from the input on every key upstroke. So that is fine. So as soon as we get some data, uh, let me let keyword is equal to this, and as soon as if there is any keyword for searching, uh, we need to show we need to add the class, and the class name is suggestions visible. We need to add the suggestions visible class on the search container element. Where is that? Here it is. We need to add it on there. So I'm going to get that element search container element is equal to document dot query selector, actually get element by id and pass the id. I would say, what was the name? Search container. Okay. Okay, now we have the DOM element. I'm going to add a class on it. So search container element dot class list dot add, and I want to add this class. The class name is this suggestions visible. So as soon as the user types something and the user typed and there is a and the value the length of keyword is greater than so 0, then we need to display this section. So if user did not type anything, for example, there was something user backspaced it, then we should hide. We should not display it. Okay. So let's test it. You can see that right now there is no suggestions, and as soon as I type something, suggestions box is visible now. Awesome. Now, if I backspace, then suggestions box should be invisible, but that is not happening. The reason is that we did not handle that situation. So we now that if length is more than 0, if there is something that user typed in the input, then we need to show it. But if user backspaced it, user has removed everything from the input, and if the keyword is empty string, then we should hide the suggestions box. For that, we need to type the else condition, and in the else I'm going to say uh, I'm going to actually let's move it outside of this, and I would just copy paste this. Instead of remove, I'm going to call instead of add, I'm going to call remove function that would remove this class if there is that class already. So you can see that it has shown the drop down, and if I remove everything, then drop down is hidden. So that is perfect. Now last thing that we need to, not last, but another thing we need to achieve is that if user clicks on this cross button, then we again uh, hide this drop down, and we also need to remove the content from this input. So for that, let's find out the cross button. So this is the clear search button. I'm going to add an event uh, on click. So as soon as user clicks on this button, we need to call another function clear search input. Okay. And now we need to define that function in the bottom function clear input. And with that, I need to get the input element. For that, uh, inside the search container, we have the input. I'm going to use the query selector document. One second, let input is equal to document dot query selector, and here we have the search container. In the query with the query selector, we want that inside the search container id there is an input that we want to get. Okay, and now we have the input. I want to make it clear. For that, type input dot value is equal to empty. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that is working. So after it is empty, we need to hide the suggestions box. So now I can do the same thing again like I did earlier, like copy this one and do this thing. But you can see that we are rewriting things that we already have done. That is not a good practice in programming world. So you should have written your code in such a way to make it reusable, right? So that you don't have to write things again and again. Look at this. We have written this line 2 times, and we are doing same thing again. So to make it uh, uh, according to the best practices, we should create another function that would say function hide suggestions box. Okay, so I'm going to move this content here, and I would just call this function instead of writing those lines. Similarly, I would do the same thing here when we are hiding it in this function. And similarly, we should have created another function, show suggestions box, right? For that, I'm going to cut this and paste it here. And instead of doing that, we just need to call this function that would show the suggestions box for us. And now we don't need this line anymore. All right. So I think everything is great now. You can see everything is working, and if I click, then okay. Another thing that now I think that should be implemented when user clicks on the input. Let's see what happens. Yeah, nothing happens. We just need to close this drop down, right? So for now, let's leave it. We will work on that once we will make it actually functional with the pages. Okay, because in this you can see as soon as I clicked on the contact, it opened a new page, and on the new page this drop down might be closed automatically because it would reload the page maybe. Even if it does not reload, we can hide it later by using the same approach, that we will get the class list and we will remove the suggestion. I mean, we will just call this hide suggestions box, right? That's it. So with this, we have completed the UI part for the suggestions, input suggestions in the header. So it's time to commit. Header search completed suggestions. Thank you for watching my video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to get the notifications for upcoming videos, and please like and share my videos. Thank you for watching. See you later in the next video.